Okay, so here we are. This has been going on for a very long time between the two of us. We've been wanting to do these series for almost 3, 4 months now,
Yeah.
Charin. And yeah, so CK and I have been working on this for quite some time, but some interesting topics coming in here. And as we're going to share it in both our channels, there's not going to be a lot of introduction, but just a quick thing on why here, why us. I think both of us have had a good long 3 decades journey, and both of us have been in a very different segment completely. And correct me if I'm wrong, CK. You've
Yeah.
been in corporate and then the matured businesses sector, and I've been in the madness and the craziness, chaos of startups and entrepreneurs. But I think the objective and the work that we've been doing has been very similar. So I think coming to these crossroads and starting these series is something that I'm really looking forward for, and I'm sure our viewers as well will enjoy it. And the first topic of this series for everyone, it's going to be 3 episodes or videos that we'll be publishing on each topic. Why? Because each topic is excellent. It requires a deep dive and definitely would give you a lot of takeaways. So are we ready, CK?
Yes, very much.
Let's do this. And as we all, both of us and many of our connections, followers, mentees talk about people, let's go with the topic which is concerned with people. And today's topic is something very, very important and critical, right? And many of the business always have this question: do we involve the leadership team into strategic discussions? Should it be an inclusive decision making culture in the company? And there's a lot of pros and cons to it, right? And many times it's discussed based on the kind of people they have, but frankly I think there's a much more deeper thought to it. So let's start with the most important question on the topic. Let's talk about the LOC, the line of control, right? As a company, where does the line of control come? Where does the management, take control of the decisions and let, take the conversation towards that? Where does the boundary stop for the management and the teams, the leadership team? And having said that, I think I'll take a step back. The question to you more so is there a line of control? And if there is, why and how? And if there is not, should there be one? Over to you, CK.
Sure. I think, see, the large corporates that one has worked in for 30 years, there are very clear lines of control, very clear, boundaries, hierarchies, empowerment that has been defined. But having worked in the entrepreneur segment for the last 14 years, right, I think that is where the problem starts, because entrepreneurs also come in different shapes and sizes, right? You have the startups, you have the early stage, you have the growth phase companies, you have the struggling companies, you have the family businesses. And so there's no one standard rule, right? If it's a large family business, the lines of control are often very blurred, right? Because decision making is down to just 1 or 2 people, right? If it's a smaller firm or a mid-sized firm, which is say 100 employees, right? There would be the owner or the directors or the co-founders, and there would be 1 or 2 trusted leaders in that team, right? uh, the line of control would mostly operate with them. The smaller the firm, the more blurred the line of control is, because the smaller it is, the more owner driven it becomes, right?
Absolutely.
And then there is no line of control. It's only a line of direction, right? The owner says, look, I want this done, I need this information, I need this input, I need this, and the team works on it, right? So I think the line of control is very much required, and it keeps evolving as the size of the organization grows, as the size of the team grows, as the number of managers increase in the organization, as the number of departments or departmental heads keep increasing. The line of control, to answer your question, the line of control has to be there. It is not there in many organizations, and I think that's the starting point of many problems. So I'm a big advocate of the fact that whatever the size of the organization, whether it's 2 leaders or 5 leaders or 10 leaders, doesn't matter, right? Between the owners, founders, co-founders, and the next level, there has to be a very, very clear demarcated line uh, with clear accountability and clarity in terms of what each one is supposed to do, what each one can do, what each one can decide, right? So I think that's really my answer to the question, right? It varies from organization to organization, but it's required everywhere.
No, I totally second that, and a very big, case study that I've seen on this, what you're saying, and I actually could, see that happen. What you just said was in Razor Pay team. When they started out, there were a bunch of 4, 5 guys who said they are the founding team. But frankly, the founders were just two, Harshal and Shashank. But everyone else played, the leadership team played that role in decision making. But as the company started growing, very soon those layers got built. Though still the other team sees themselves as the founding team, but still they are the leadership team there, right? And these, what you say is so clear. When they're starting out, that's where the lines are blurred. But then I think it comes to the founding team and the management to set this clear understanding. And I think that's where the culture begins in first.
Absolutely.
Moving on from there, like when you're talking about these teams, right? Like these two people, like, the founding team, the management, and the leadership team, most often for decision making in a strategic manner, we need participation and collaborations, correct? But then, do we take the whole team and let them get involved and take the risk of, hoping that they'll start participating and collaborating and get involved and risk decisions? Or do we choose or handpick those people who are more participating or involved in the business and take just them into the strategic decision? How does this work? Does the management pick and choose the team, or take the team and make them involved in this? How does this usually work?
I think initially involving the first level leaders, I think in decision making and the strategy making is very, very critical. And a lot of, again, founders do not do that, right? A lot of the decision making tends to be confined to 1 or 2 people. It tends to be given based on directions given by investors, based on directions given by other people. And more often the first level leaders become only the execution arm. They just do what is expected to do from their department. But I found that, as a mentor, when I work with clients, I'm sure you also would have experienced the same thing. When you start involving the first level people in the discussions, in the business planning, in the market scoping, in the different departments that they need to do, what are the challenges they're facing and what they can do differently, right? I think that is when it becomes inclusive, right? As we include, say, 7 or 8 or 10 people in the chain, you will obviously find that out of the 7 or 8 people, only 3 or 4 are really taking a lot of initiative.
Absolutely.
There's some people who talk a lot, contribute a lot in the meetings, but are okay in terms of execution. There are some departments I've noticed they don't talk much in the meetings, but they're very good at execution, right? So we should not get carried away only by the ones who are participating in the meeting and contributing actively. End of the day, each one needs to be looking at their role in a more strategic manner. Most of them tend to look at their role in a very operational manner. Okay, I need to get this work done. I need to get this work done. How that department is going to evolve in the next 1 year or 2 years, very few of them actually think, right?
Exactly.
So when we start involving them in the business planning process, looking at the 1 year projection, looking at the new products, new services, new ways of getting revenue, new ways of increasing productivity, new ways of improving profitability, I find that, it's a learning process for them.
Correct.
But the founders need to have the patience to take them through that learning curve, right? Otherwise, even 1 year later, they will be at the same state, right? So I think it's a process which has to evolve. Initially, involve everybody. Then you may involve less people, are the ones who are really contributing or critical to the company, and then keep at it with them so that they are involved in the bigger picture. They see the bigger picture, and not just their narrow silo that they are working for.
I cannot say how much I agree with you, and especially I would just kind of take you back in a few months earlier, like when we had this conversation, right, where you were more focused on people in an organization, and I would say it's not the people, it's the innovation or and I think that's where I go back to, right? And the more we talk about this, I think for all our viewers and everyone around who kind of go through this, will realize how important these decisions come in play at an early stage in itself. for the management team and the founders, right? So coming to the last part of this first part, the first video, a very important thing, because see, we both come from the sales, the execution, support services for businesses, right? So let's end this first video with a quick, a kind of a experience from your side, like some company that you worked with where you saw this clearly, like how it was a culture of inclusive decision and how it worked for the firm, right? Just a quick, we understand we can't use client names or anything, but it's up to you. Whatever you're comfortable, help us with an example.
No, I think I've had many examples, and I think typically I find that this works very well in a company that's been around for a while, say 5 years plus, right? They've reached a particular scale, they've reached some level of revenue and profitability, but they've not been able to grow in a structured manner. They've not been able to plan in a structured manner. So when we've involved the CEO and the COO and the other, say, 5 or 6 departmental heads, right, in the discussion, in the planning, in the vision redefinition, in identifying the business goals, which are important. I think I shared this once here. We actually redefined the vision of that organization. We identified 4 business goals for that organization, with one owner for each business goal, right? It brought in so much of ownership. Earlier, the pressure was only on the CEO and the COO to drive growth. Now, suddenly there were 6 people in that organization who were, working on the big picture. And I think this is just one example. And that company used to be 20 crores. Today, they're 50 crores. Wow. Right. So obviously, a lot of things that they have done are now working for them. And the team is much more responsible. And, they've been able to clearly, they had to go through the journey. It's not that there was instant results, right? The first 3 months or 6 months was a complete realignment of the way they think and the way they work. But I think it's paid dividends in year 2, year 3, year 4, and it's just going on. Right now, they're on the run to get to 100 crores, right? And the team is set, the processes are set, the approach is set, the market coverage is set. I think they're a lot more process driven and more structured. And I think they have worked a lot in terms of the culture of the organization, right? Right. So culture cannot be driven by just one person. It has to permeate across different departments at different levels. So unless there are multiple leaders taking on that responsibility, it can never happen through just HR, or it cannot happen through just one CEO saying that, look, this is how we should operate. So I think that is there's one of the cases that I can definitely speak about in Bangalore itself, and extremely happy customer, because now they are on a much solid foundation, and they have the foundation for growth. All the unstructured way of a typical entrepreneur way of working has now become a more structured corporate way of working with an entrepreneur mindset that, okay, look, we need to grow, we need to take risks, we need to do this, we need to do that, but in a very structured way and by involving all the stakeholders, right? So I think that is an example that I could talk about.
And how long have you been engaging with the client? With this client?
About 4 years now.
Wow. Excellent. We'll hold the thought of experiential examples, because that's the next video about.
Sure.
And for all the viewers here, I know CK doesn't do this, but I'm going to say this because all my videos have this. We're going to share the links of both our channels. Please subscribe to it, get the notifications, and make sure that you keep coming back on our channels. And these podcasts are very interesting. You'll see the next episode, especially on this topic, but that one will purely be on experiences. No, Kian, it's more of experiences, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss it. So with that, thank you so much, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thanks.